don't think you're sleeping. Can you come back in an hour?
Need sleepy.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligiuri, and it's time for the Billy C. Morning Show. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing okay this morning. A special shout out to all of our listeners on ESPN New Hampshire, and of course all of our viewers on Fight TV and the handheld app Fight.tv, that's FITE.tv, and all of our other affiliates throughout the U.S. and Canada. Good morning to you, or whenever you're listening. Don't forget, today's show is being brought to you in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Well, the Golden Isles, if you will. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why we talk about Sal's lineup of food every single day on this show, and find out why I'm a fat bastard, because I eat at Sal's every single day practically when I'm down there. But hey, don't forget, mention this show to Sal and get a free cannoli with your meal. And if you're heading south, like you snowbirds do, don't forget it's a 15-minute out your way, including stopping for a couple of lights off of I-95. Do the detour. Use his clean bathrooms. Eat his food. You won't regret it. www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com for all the information. If you need the address or anything else, just drop me an email and I'll hook you up. Billy@TalkinBoxing. TalkinBoxing.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can literally get a copy of it right now by visiting BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board. It's a story of, a man who was born a slave, fought for his freedom, and should be recognized as the first world champion in the heavyweight division. Find out all about this guy. My guy, Tom Molyneux. I fell in love with his story and wrote a book on it. And by the way, if you want a signed copy, you want to talk boxing, you want to hang out in person, I'm going to be doing a book signing at a book fair that's taking place Sunday, November 6th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. In Glens Falls, New York, at the beautiful Queensberry Hotel. Me and a bunch of other authors will be there. So, hey, if you're in the area, stop by the Queensberry Hotel November 6th between 10 and 2. Chat with me, get a copy of the book, or just come on by and talk boxing. I'll be there. And I'll be selling the book at a discount price, too. But and also, today's show, it's being brought to us by Fight TV and their new app. Check out our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Fight TV app, or I should say Fight TV banner on the right-hand side, and download the app right now. It's worthwhile. You can get not only this show every single day on your handheld, but you'll be entitled to pay-per-views and all kinds of other shows and programming on Fight TV. So get yourself that app right now. It's for free, so why not do it? And today is also being brought to us by the Title Bout Championship computer game, who's going to be bringing us the Blast from the Past later on the show, which features one of my favorite fighters and one of this guy, Sal Rocky Senecola, who joins me right now. One of his buddies, Vinny Pazmanian Devil Pazienza. Sal is going to be our Blast from the Past today. What's going on?
Wow, Vinny, I tell you, I can tell you stories, man. Vinny, but good morning to all. How are you, Billy?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
A lot of stuff.
First and foremost, I can't get it out of my mind, but will anyone man up and fight Triple G? I mean, the Daniel Jacobs fight, they're saying, oh, yeah, that's going to happen, but now it won't happen until January, because it takes 47 weeks for these guys to prepare for a fight, Saul Canelo Alvarez, he punked out. You start to look at the landscape of the middleweight division, and there's nobody. I mean, will anybody man up and fight this guy? What do you think?
I would fight him if they could sanction a bout. I'd definitely fight him.
Not you, but I mean somebody that's not taking Geritol every day. Somebody that's not close.
Easy,
somebody
easy.
that's not
I
close
just got in the mail because I'm
AARP. What'd you get? Your
I'm
new
an
copy?
infomercial junkie, but I just got my whatever those beets are that you drink in the morning. I got that.
Oh, I thought
Anyway.
maybe you got. I thought maybe you got your new issue of AARP magazine. I don't know.
You know what?
I
I refuse that. I was in the Harris Teeter the other day, and I was buying some things for the restaurant that we were short on some of our produce, and I go up there and there's this new cashier, and she rang me up, and I said, "Wow, it's less expensive than what I usually pay for. Well, why is that?" "Oh, well, I gave it a senior discount." I said, "What? No. Forget about it. Ixnay. Get that out of there.
I want to pay.
I'm a young guy.
I'm paying the full price.
I wouldn't take the discount. I refuse to take the discount."
That's funny.
Oh, funny for you.
Yeah.
So I had to go to get a hair color just for men.
Hey, listen. Yeah, well, I refused to do that. I said, hey, I'll go gray like a man and bald like a man, and unfortunately, both is happening to me. I should have never said anything, but. Hey, remember we were talking all last week, and we actually kicked off the week talking, hoping still that Vladimir Klitschko would step in the ring and face young gun Anthony Joshua. Well, it ain't happening, my man, because Klitschko got injured. Now he's out till 2017. It makes me wonder. Listen, I'm not going to doubt Vladimir Klitschko. I mean, he was such a dominant figure in the heavyweight division for almost a decade. But doesn't it seem kind of strange to you? I mean, he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua only if the WBA would sanction it. WBA didn't want to sanction it. They offered him Lucas Brown. It seemed like he was going to fight Lucas Brown. Then all of a sudden he gets an injury that keeps him out till 2017. I mean, Vladimir Klitschko at 40 years old and being out for a year, being out for an injury, I mean, do you think he should just hang it up? I mean, what do you think?
Well, maybe so. It's a shame because, he is such a, like you said, he has such a legacy here, and he's gonna go down in the books as it is. But when your body is older, the tendons, the ligaments, this one, that one, you're more vulnerable to injuries just from the explosive force of your muscle tissue still being stronger than your joint tissue. I mean, that's what happens a lot of times. So I can't answer for anybody. Me, if I just get the surgery, maybe I'll come back. We'll see. But I can't take a year off from making pizza with waiting for my shoulder to heal.
Yeah, you can't. I want to see you flip a pizza with one hand. But
I've been practicing because to get that down, I'm gonna go under the knife.
You know what you got to do? You got to bring that glove in again that you have at the end of the pizza peel. And do that. You got to, you know where that is. That's in the pile of all your other stuff in your office.
Hey, I've been cleaning that up, Billy.
Yeah, okay.
I have clear passage to that back room in my downstairs warehouse.
Yeah, okay.
I got rid of some of those. You know what I was going to do with all those are all the canola oil, fry oil jugs, or 5-gallon jugs.
Make a raft.
I was going to tie them together, use that as a pallet, make a boat launch.
I figured you were going to make a raft and maybe take a trip.
Well, that's what I was going to do for the next flood. I was going to make a raft. They tie those all together, put some plywood on top. Forget about it. I got a float.
Go on eBay and sell it to somebody in Cuba. That's bad. Come on, that's bad. That's bad. Don't be laughing at those jokes. Come on, man. Come on. Hey, Bernard Hopkins stepping up. Talking about an older fighter. Bernard Hopkins is 51 years old. He's stepping up, fighting a young gun, and Joe Smith. They kicked off their press conference the other day. Joe Smith said, "I'm so glad I was chosen to fight B-Hop in his final fight on December 17th at the Forum. I'm going to train very hard for this fight and take full advantage of it. I'm looking forward to putting on a great show for everyone." I wish I would have heard a little more positivity out of Joe Smith than just, sounding like he's glad to be there. But Bernard Hopkins, he said, "This is history. We have been here many times where history's been made. This is obviously different than anything I've ever done because it's the final one. To be able to have the final one in L.A. where the city of stars are trying to be stars, however you cut it, it couldn't have been better with the history in place in the DNA that the Forum has produced. So once again, Bernard Hopkins stepping up to the task, Sal, and fighting the tough fights and doing what he's got to do, man.
Well, Bernard Hopkins, he's kind of from that old school, that, and that's what I'm saying. I give credit to both fighters. I mean, Joe Smith is a tough, dangerous fighter to go in the ring. We saw last time his power. I mean, he went in as an underdog his last time out, and he came out a victor by a knockout. And I became an instant fan of Joe Smith. Now, I like Bernard Hopkins, too. And for both fighters, they're stepping up, and they're both putting it on the line. And I think it's a great way for B-Hop to go out, win, lose, or draw in this one. And Joe Smith, guess what? He propelled himself onto the world stage, and this is his first one that's going to be really under the light as him showcasing a big, big fight. So I think that one of the biggest magnitude that he's had thus far in his career. So kudos to him, and if he wants to take the humble approach, which I think he is in doing, and grateful approach, let's see. He's going to talk with his fist that night when he's in the ring with B-Hop.
I'll give a special shout out to our man Coach. He's in the chat room every day,
yes.
And he's a contributor to our website. And his website, strictlybusinessboxing.com, has been down in the last few days, but I just want to report that it's up. So if you visit my man Coach's website, it's up. It's back up, strictlybusinessboxing.com. Hey, speaking of Strictly Business, how about Clarissa Shields, a two-time Olympic gold medalist in the female division for the United States? She will be making an much anticipated pro debut real soon. As a matter of fact, she's going to be fighting on the undercard of Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward, coming up on November 19th. My quick question to you, and then I got to take a break. Is she going to help? I don't even know if I should use the word resurrect, but is she? Do you think she'll be able to help women's boxing? I personally was a big fan of women's boxing, but it's fallen off the map. It never really got to where I thought it should or could, and it's kind of fallen off. I personally have a hard time getting up for those fights and what have you. But will Clarissa Shields? Man, I'm having a hard time putting. Is she going to help it? Is she going to help?
No. The only, I mean, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I'm not opposed. I'm just not a fan of female boxing. Never was. I never saw a fight of female boxing. I never even had the desire to watch female boxing. Like I said, I love women in sports, but I don't like to see them wrestle like I did in this past Olympics, and I don't like to see them in the ring boxing. I never saw a female fight except the Ronda Rousey fight when she got knocked out by Holly Holmes. But and it was what it was. I'm not gonna make it break it any more than it was. And I think female fighting had its eyes on center stage when the Ali girl was champion and moving up because of her name, the Ali,
The Ali girl. Come on, get the name right. It's Layla Ali. And let me just say this.
Layla Ali.
Let me just say this.
I was going to say the double L.
Let me just say this. It's like somebody who complains about the president that's elected when they don't vote. You can't complain about women's boxing if you never even watched a match, Sal. Come on. I mean, listen, all honesty, I've seen many great female fights. As a matter of fact, I had the pleasure and luxury of calling a bunch of good ones. And a lot of times when you go to
used to manage a world champ.
Yeah, I know, multi-division world champ. But as a matter of fact, a lot of times you go to a card and the female bout is the most entertaining one. It's just that. Listen, hold that thought. We got to take a break. Just hold that thought.
Hold that thought because I got a couple questions for that. Maybe I'm missing something.
Just hold that thought, but don't hold your breath because I don't want you to be dead when we come back from break. We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now, back to the Billy C Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Morning Show right here on Fight TV. And don't forget, download your free Fight TV, F-I-T-E, .TV app for your handheld. Just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Fight TV banner, which you'll see on the right-hand side. I'm joined with Sal Senecola. And, okay, you can let go of that thought. We were talking about female boxing, and I said how exciting a lot of times the female bout on a card would be. And what were you going to say?
You know, I will give female boxing the credit due. I hear it's great. I hear it's entertaining. I'm curious, what are the demographics? What's their audience base? What's their makeup? Is it females? Is it males? Is it what is it?
Well, you know, that's a good question.
I know it's a good question. I'm curious because I like I said, I just
a lot of fans. I don't want to say chauvinistic fans like you, Sal, but I mean
I'm
lot.
Not a chauvinist. I love women.
A lot. So do I. But you know, maybe that's why we don't want to see them fighting, or maybe not. Maybe not with gloves on. But
I'm from the old school Italian, first generation. You know, we respect our women. We love the women, and we want to protect and take care of women and kids and all that.
And you don't want
caretakers. Thank you very much.
And you don't want them to kick the crap out of you either. But
damn right. I don't. Damn right. Let the truth begin.
You know, I think that a lot of promoters don't give them a chance. A lot of times they sell tickets. I don't know. We'll see if Clarissa Shields can bring some excitement to the women's division. She is fighting in a weight class that is not that chock full of fighters. But another thing I want to mention real quick before we read some emails, Showtime has announced 5 broadcasts they're going to be doing over the next 4 months, beginning in December. But a lot of these fights, like January 28th, Carl Frampton against Leo Santa Cruz rematch, Dejan Zalakanan against Mikey Garcia. That's going to be a good one. But then they have like Adrian Broner in February, and then a projected matchup with Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman in March. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just trying to grab some attention back to the network. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think we got to take it one step at a time. And as I've said, HBO is finishing strong this year. But anyway, we got some emails. This first one is from Jesse. He's got a couple of comments here. He says, hey, Billy C., who has a better bullpen, the Cubs or the Indians? Do you think the return of Kyle Schwarber will make a difference? Are you okay, well, he's got some other things here. First and foremost, Kyle didn't make much of a difference last night. I'll get to the scores here in a second. This is a good segue. So he didn't make much of a difference last night. He says, are you the better bullpen? You know, I think they're both pretty equal, to be honest with you. And their starting pitching is pretty equal. I think the Cubs got the nod with the starting pitching, but we'll see. I think it's going to be a very entertaining World Series, to be honest with you. 2 teams that are longing for a championship. So he says, are you surprised that Arian Foster retired so young? He's talking about Arian Foster, who retired, was announced yesterday from the Miami Dolphins. You know, it's becoming more commonplace for these guys to realize, and he said it. He said, hey, when you realize that your mind and your body are not on the same page, it's time to hang them up. And I think that he was smart. If that's truly the case, I think he's smart to hang them up now, only because you see so many times where a superstar athlete wants that one more championship or one more night of glory, and they push that envelope too far. I mean, a great one that comes to mind for me personally is Michael Jordan. In my opinion, the greatest basketball player ever to lace on a pair of sneakers, and he hung on a little too long and looked ordinary. So there was a whole generation that didn't see, the Michael Jordan that I saw in the 80s. I mean, no one could do it like him. He says, Billy C., I feel and see that Hopkins can beat Joe Smith. Joe makes too many mistakes, and Hopkins will capitalize. I agree with that, Sal, and you and I talked about that. I mean, Bernard Hopkins is going to fight 8 of the 12 rounds strong, and I think Joe Smith is in for a tough night, even though B-Hop is advanced in age.
Well, and there you go. There you go again. Bernard Hopkins has been in the ring for decades, and with that comes a world of experience, knowledge, confidence, and staying power. And let's face it, he has the staying power to stay in with a top fighter of any era or age. And I think his experience is going to be one of his strongest suits and assets that night in the ring. Joe Smith is a young buck, and he's a dangerous, dangerous fighter. And it only takes one punch, one mistake, and one time. And if you've got 30 minutes of fighting or so, how many rounds are going? 10?
No, it's going 12. But the thing is that he's got to get to B-Hop. But B-Hop's going to frustrate him. He's going to frustrate him.
Like I said, you got 36 minutes of exchanging punches, and if all you need is one good one, and one good one will lead to a second good one. And when you're in a ring with a dangerous puncher, that's all I'm saying. And you've got a lot of opportunities within that 36-minute time. Now, on the other hand, B-Hop is also a good puncher, but he's so defensive. He's so good. He's so strategic. I mean, what I love about his experience and his mindset, he's like the matador in with a bull. I mean, he could assess a fight. We don't know if Joe Smith is ready to face that kind of strategic fight. Maybe he is. I like him. I think I'm very excited to see him propelled on this world stage and capitalize on it. And win, lose, or draw, I think he will be now on the world stage.
Yeah, no doubt. It's going to be a tough fight for Joe Smith. It's going to
be a tough fight.
We'll see. It'll be about his discipline to not fall into the traps that B-Hop will set. Jesse says, do you like Granado's Broner fight in February? He thinks it should be action-packed. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to think anything except negativity when you mention Adrian Broner. So I don't know, man. Maybe I'll soften up by February. He says, do you see Clarissa Shields being a world champion in pro boxing? And the answer to that is yes, because she fights in a division that is not chock full of fighters, let alone talent. He says, Billy, as I look at the B-Hop resume, I see his last 15 fights have been against champions or high-level opponents. The point is that he didn't have any tune-up fights. Once you're a champion, you must face the best or challenge the best, which he's done. I hear lots of people in boxing defending Danny Garcia, saying he deserves a tune-up, and that many greats have done it before. I say that's bull, and they should not do that if they want to be considered great. I'm not saying Danny Garcia is B-Hop talent-wise or even has a resume like that, but he is a champion, and he does have a belt. Danny must fight the best and seek the top fighters. I couldn't agree with Jesse more. I can't stand it. And what's worse is that fans sticking up for that. It just gives me... I'll be honest, Al, and I'm going to say it on air, and you and I have talked about this many, many times off air, and I've talked about it with Dax and many other people. It's hard for me to stay interested in the sport of boxing. It really is. I can't stand the path it's taken. A lot of the fans accepting the BS that we're being handed from this sport. It's as Mike Tyson would say, ludicrous. It's really ludicrous, And It's sickening. So let me get out of boxing for 1 second, get everybody caught up on some other sports. The World Series, talking about who's got the better bullpen and all of that. Well, last night, the Indians kicked off the World Series, shutting out the Cubs 6-0 to take a 1-0 World Series lead. They continue in Cleveland tonight. They will shift over to Chicago for Friday night. They're off on Thursday for a travel day, but we'll see if the Cubbies can get back on the winning track and tie this series up before they go home. In the NBA, the Cavaliers smacked the snot out of the Knicks, 117-88. LeBron James led the way for the Cavs, 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 14 assists. The Trailblazers beat the Jazz, 113-104. Damian Lillard led the Blazers with 39 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists. And in the last game, there was 3 games last night. The Spurs topped the Golden State Warriors 129-100, almost 30-point differential there. Kawhi Leonard led the way for the Spurs, 35 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. Over in the National Hockey League, Sal, the Wild. They're just wild. They beat the Bruins 5-0. The Penguins topped the Panthers 3-2. The Lightning over the Maple Leafs 7-3. The Devils beat the Coyotes 5-3. The Flyers beat the Sabres in a shootout. The Sabres beat the Flyers in a shootout 4-3. The Red Wings topped the Hurricanes 4-2. The Flames, you know those Flames.
Oh boy, go easy.
They beat the Blues 4-1. The Stars topped the Jets 3-2. Every time I mention the Jets, they're on the losing end. I don't care what sport they're in. The Senators beat the Canucks 3-0. The Kings
beat the Canucks.
Yeah, they beat the Kings beat the Blue Jackets 3-2 in overtime, and the Sharks beat the Quack Quack Ducks 2-1 in overtime. That's what took place in some other sports, Sal. But, hey, not bad. You know, we got some college football tomorrow. We got NFL football tomorrow. So we'll keep you posted on all these other sports going on.
And this weekend, Billy C., every year, we rise to the occasion here in the Golden Isles because you have the Georgia Bulldogs facing the Florida Gators in the biggest rivalry that I've seen in college football, but I don't see too much college football. But it's unbelievable what happens on this island.
Well, I'll tell you another big rivalry happening. Alabama against LSU is a huge rivalry, you know. And in case you haven't noticed, Alabama's still number 1, undefeated. Georgia, not so much, you know. So
easy.
Well, you know what? Georgia. Hey, I'm a Bulldog fan. Ask Max, man.
I know you are.
They got me.
They won their first 3 games.
I thought they were going to be a lot better than they turned out. You know what happened to the defense? I mean, I thought the defense was going to be the strong point. I love the young quarterback that's on the Georgia Bulldogs, Jason Eason, Jacob Eason. This kid is going to be an NFL quarterback for sure. For sure, I'm totally positive about that. Sure. I got one last email before we let you go here, just to get your thoughts real quick. It's a baseball question. It's from my man Angel from Madison, Wisconsin. He says, "Hey, Billy C, would you be in favor of using technology that can determine balls and strikes and pitch count? We see radar technology at work during the game to near perfection. We still need the umpires to help regulate the game. But why isn't this technology used? I think it could make the game faster and perhaps make the job for players and umps easier." You know, Sal, that's a tough question and a real good one from my man Angel from Madison, Wisconsin. But, you know, there's a certain part of me that kind of likes the human element in professional sports. Balls and strikes, in football, you know, calling if the receiver got 2 feet in bounds. I know we watch replay, and a lot of people feel that the technology is there. Use it. Let's get it right. But I sometimes I wonder if we're kind of taken away from the game by removing the human element. Now, with that said, you know, corruption is always an issue here too. But what's your quick thoughts? I mean, do you think You think technology should be used and leaned on like my man is suggesting?
Well, in a guarded particular element, I mean, you could use technology, but you definitely have to have the human element involved there. I mean, if there's a way to have an outline of the strike zone and ball zone and having some kind of infrared computer, but here's my other thought too. One of my favorite ball players, who's no longer here, Yogi Berra. He was one of the best bad ball hitters there was ever behind the plate. And what I loved about Yogi is, and like I do half these players out there today, they want that perfect pitch. They want their pitch. Well, guess what? Balls and strikes. If you could hit a ball, I'd say go get that damn thing and knock it out of the park.
You know what I liked? You know what I liked about Yogi? You know what I liked about Yogi? When he was when he was looking for some picnic baskets. That's That's what he was when Yogi was looking for some picnic baskets, But
yeah, funny. I remember that Babalu.
Yeah, no, that's quick. That's quick draw, McDraw. Quick draw.
That's right. Quick draw, McDraw. See,
Right.
you and I are the same era.
From Baba Louie. From Baba Louie. I'll do the thinning around here, Baba Louie. Hey, listen. Baba Louie. Hey, listen, Baba Louie. We got to let you go. I'm going to take a break and get Larry Hazard on, but we'll look forward to tomorrow. Make sure you're here. Don't be late, man. Don't be late.
I'm not going to be late. I'm going to be in that chat room early enough, and I'm going to have coffee in my veins, and we're going to be ready to go.
Sounds good. We'll check you out tomorrow, brother.
Take care. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. That's Sal Rocky Senecola. I got to take a break. We'll be back with Larry Hazard.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. Glad to be part of your morning. And don't forget, you want to watch the show every day, wherever you are, or whenever you want. Download the Fight TV app. We're on Fight TV, and you can get the app for free. Visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Fight TV banner. Download the app and get it on your phone. You can visit it via your phone. Just download it, check it out, see what I'm talking about, and then search the Billy C. Morning Show or Talkin' Boxing. We're all there. We're there. Joining us right now, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner, my man, Larry Hazard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Billy, how you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing good. You know, I wish there was a little more boxing to talk about, but I got some stuff to chat with you over, and one of them is, just this happened. I wanted to talk to you about this last week because it popped into my head, and I haven't forgotten it because I wanted to get your thoughts. You know, it has to do with the PBC and HBO, and the first thing is, the PBC, you know, we all loved the PBC and you know, all the fights that we got on TV. We got spoiled again, and you and I have talked about this a lot, and you know, regardless of, you know, what happens with the PBC, I mean, we were treated to a full television schedule of PBC boxing events, but now they're far and few in between, and there's some rumors that it's falling apart. They do have some things they're doing with Showtime coming next year, et cetera, and all that stuff. But in the lieu of all of that, what seemed to happen, and we were all critical, including you and myself on this show, about HBO and how HBO kind of fell off the map this year. You know, they claimed they didn't have the money in the budget and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, they chock full their schedule to close out the year. And I ask you this. Do you think that HBO was smarter than all of us and kind of saw the writing on the wall and said, hey, let's just let the PBC shoot their load, so to speak, hang themselves with the rope, sit back, let them do everything, and then come on strong, which they are at this fourth quarter of 2016. And then as we close out the year, even though there's been some great fights given to us, a la, you know, the Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz, etc. You know, now we're looking forward to B-Hop fighting and the Kovalev fight and with Andre Ward and Luis Ortiz. I mean, to close out the year, HBO is going to be putting on some good fights. You think it's just this coincidence, or you think they actually had this planned? What's your thoughts?
I kind of think that it was probably a coincidence. You know, I can't see where they could plan that. I mean, because they didn't know, you know, how would they know for sure that those fights would be guaranteed? You know, that you know, for this year. You know, the B-Hop fight, which is coming in December, okay, it's supposed to be his last. You know, how could you, you know, how could you plan for it when you really couldn't have known that these fights were guaranteed? Even Ward Kovalev, with Ward and his off and on, his injuries, etc., you know, those fights weren't, in my view, guaranteed to happen. You know, the uncertainty of these big fights dropping out. So I think it was just coincidence. And, you know, who knows what the PBC is planning for next year. Maybe they feel like they need to chill for a little bit and regroup, look at some more or different direction maybe. You know, I certainly am concerned about the sponsorships that it doesn't appear to be getting the type of sponsorships that is needed to go forward for any extended period of time. So we'll just see, you know, what's in the making. But I think this is all coincidence, Billy. I really do.
You know, I think that, you know, because HBO just, in my opinion, HBO was always the better production for boxing over all the other networks. And, you know, we got used to seeing, you know, once a month or whatever, an HBO event, whether it be pay-per-view or After Dark or the Championship Series or whatever. All of a sudden, we got nothing, you know. And I agree with you. I mean, they didn't have a crystal ball to know that there would be, you know, big fights at the end of the year. But maybe that was an opportunity they took advantage of. I don't know. We'll see. You know, we're all sitting back to see what happens with the PBC. You know, even if they don't come back as frequently as they were. If they can somehow give us a fight a week, I think that'll fill the void. We need a consistent series to give us boxing on TV that's accessible TV to everyone once a week. You know, I'm disappointed in ESPN, but we need once a week at least. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think that that is something that the PBC should consider, because they kind of overwhelmed us. You know, I mean, there was fights everywhere. So many fights that it was hard to keep up with. So they have really made a tremendous entree into the fight game. So now, maybe as a part of their forward plan, if they could just give us, you know, a schedule of fights maybe once or twice a week, or, you know, 2 or 3 times a month, something like that, I think the fans would be satisfied as long as they're quality fights. I certainly, I have no complaints about the fights that they gave us. You know, they gave us some exciting fights that you look forward to, and if they could just keep that going and give us at least 1 or 2 fights a week, I would be satisfied.
What I don't like would happen with the PBC, and I saw this from the very beginning, that they were targeting a new audience, which at first glance, we could be sitting around and say, that's good, man. We need a new audience. We need new sets of eyes on the sport. But the way they presented it created a short-term fan, not the diehards. And we've talked about this many times, and in the process, they created purses that were a little extravagant. So now, I mean, it's like, you're not going to all of a sudden create a value for a fighter and then tell him he's got to take less. It doesn't work that way. It's like working. It's like getting a job and starting out at $1,000 a week, and then 6 months later, your boss is telling you, sorry, you got to work for $500 a week now. I mean, most of the time it doesn't work, and so to pay for all of that is going to be hard. But the worst part of it, Larry, is the fact that the fan base that seems to have the new fan, let me just refer to them as the new fan base, they seem to accept things that guys like you and I don't. For an example, they're okay with a world champion getting a couple of tune-up fights before he fights a real fight, and I'm against that. Once you reach that championship level, you got to be ready to fight all comers. And to me, the longevity of the sport and the way that the sport is becoming is in danger. That's all. That's the way I see it.
Well, and you're absolutely right. But a lot of what the problem is that the new fans don't really have any point of reference. So that's what makes them, I think, more accepting of this pattern. See, guys like you and I, we have such a tremendous point of reference that it's hard for us to accept some of the stuff, because, we're throwbacks to the days where there were real, exciting fighters and fight. And we were privy, or are privy, to how those fights developed, how those fighters developed, and we have a greater appreciation for what they had to go through. The new fans, they were fed right from the gate, this new paradigm, for lack of a better term, in the sport. Undefeated records, fighters ducking other fighters, nobody wants to, if you lose a fight, it's almost like the end of a career, So these new fans are fed that type of mentality as opposed to how we came through. So I think that's where a lot of the, where a lot of the problem is. So, we just have to kind of, change that mentality as we move forward in the game, and hope that they can produce a great fight and maybe kind of get away from the way that things are being done today.
Got a couple of questions for you. First and foremost, Triple G. We all hoped that he was going to fight Daniel Jacobs. Not that many of us thought Daniel Jacobs had much of a chance, but they can't get. They didn't have enough time. I guess 8 weeks wasn't enough time to prepare. They couldn't iron out a deal, which is completely ridiculous. But my question today, my topic today, really is anyone going to man up and fight Triple G? I mean, I'm so sick of hearing the negativity. Oh, Triple G hasn't fought anybody and this and that. And you and I have said many, many times, nobody's willing to fight this guy. How can a fan, or anyone for that matter, put the blame on Triple G? My question flat out, will anyone man up and fight this guy? I mean, how do you foresee the next 6 months? I mean, who's going to come forward and fight him that we're going to accept and want to see him fight? I mean, the two big names seem to be running totally in the opposite direction. That's Daniel Jacobs and, of course, Canelo Alvarez. What do you think?
Well, your guess is as good as mine, Billy, but I guess the only way you get somebody in these situations is that the money gets so enormous that, guys will be coming out of the woodwork for the money. But just for the competitiveness of it, just for the challenge, I don't foresee it anytime in the near future. Okay, Jacobs, of course, was calling him out because, he sees a great opportunity, and I appreciate the competitive spirit of Jacobs. Even though I think it's a difficult task, I do believe that he was willing to give it his all. Canelo, I think that Canelo has delusions of grandeur as a part of his problem, and he wants everything done on his terms. So, we'll just have to wait and see how this thing develops. But like I said, the one factor that usually will bring them out of the woodwork is the money. So that would be one way to get somebody to step up if that purse, or if the offer got that great.
Well, Daniel Jacobs reportedly turned down $1.9 million, which was the biggest purse he ever made. I thought that was a fair offer to Daniel Jacobs, considering he really hasn't fought anybody. What's he? I mean, how much money does he think he's going to get? Canelo, yeah, okay. He's going to demand more. He's a bigger name, a bigger draw. But 1.9 million. I mean, if they poo-pooed that, I can't see them ever coming to terms financially.
Well, it's going to be difficult for them to present a reasonable argument then for anyone to want to see him fight, or for him to even get a fight with him. If they're going to offer him a reasonable amount of money and he's going to turn it down, then I don't think he's going to have much of a case left to even, state for why he should be given the opportunity. Because like you said, he's not, it's not like he's the greatest challenge out there. Nobody's really chopping at the bit to see Daniel Jacobs and Triple G. It's an interesting fight if it's made, okay? Certainly, Jacobs has more to gain than Triple G in terms of recognition. If he were to beat Triple G, I mean, can you imagine how that will propel him?
Oh, yeah.
To the front line. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, so I think that he is being ill-advised. He's being ill-advised to, push the envelope too far, and he'll be out of the game totally.
Well, even a loss against Triple G doesn't hurt Daniel Jacobs.
Right.
It didn't hurt William Monroe at all. So
no.
But hey, I know your guy, man. Your guy, B-Hop. he's doing it again, my man. I mean, B-Hop doesn't have anything left to prove. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's really. I wasn't a big fan of B-Hop years ago when. It's hard for me to say, but when he was in his prime, even though he's got. But in the last 8 years, I mean, how can you not love Bernard Hopkins? I mean, even someone who wasn't a fan like myself became a fan because I respect him, and cherry picking is the furthest thing that you can talk about when you mention Bernard Hopkins. And once again, he's doing it at 51 years old. He's stepping in with a guy that all of a sudden nobody wants to fight. Joe Smith, I mean, he knocks out Andres Fonfara. Nobody wants to fight him. Bernard Hopkins says, I'll fight him, and I'll say it's my last fight, which, you alluded to the way you commented on that before, and I'm sharing your feelings that, he wins this fight. We know he's going to fight one more, but, the truth of the matter is that I think he's going to give Joe Smith all kinds of trouble. I think this is a perfect opponent for B-Hop, because Joe Smith is a power puncher, still a little raw, and Bernard Hopkins, with the experience level, is going to give him fits. How do you see this one going?
Oh, you couldn't have said it better, And by the way, he's 52, not 51.
No, I think he's going to turn 52 in January.
Well, yeah. So he'll be okay. Hey, look, he's closer to 52 than he is.
That's right. He's closer to getting Social Security than he's not, right? I mean, come on,
He's just getting to retirement. Well, let me tell you. See, and you made a key point. This guy is so clever. I do believe, though, Billy. I do believe that this will be it. I do. I believe that this will be it. He's got a young son, young kids now, and a wife, and so he's doing well with Oscar. Oscar seems to like him. They seem to be doing very well with their promotional group. B-Hop also looks like he has a promising future, for whatever that means, in the commentary with HBO, at least doing the analytical part of it. So I do believe that this will probably be his last one. But you know what? He was smart in picking this guy, Smith, Joe DeGuardia's fighter. Because all he has to do is worry about a punch.
That's it.
He just has to worry about the punch,
That's
Billy.
it. That's it.
All.
And he'll tie him up. He'll frustrate him. I mean, it's not going to be a pretty fight. We know that. It's not going to be a pretty fight.
Hey, make sure you call me and wake me up in between.
Yeah. You're right. It's going to be the first round will be like the other 11. They'll all be the same, right? It'll be like Groundhog Day. But let me tell you why I think he's going to pull one more if he wins. If you read between the lines, everybody said that this is the last fight for Bernard the Executioner Hopkins. Now he also referred to that he's hanging up the Bernard the Alien Hopkins nickname for this fight. He's coming back as Bernard. So this could very well be the last fight for the Executioner, but the Alien might come out one more time. You know what I mean?
So he's got to retire the Alien.
Exactly. Because he's got an out. He used the English language to his advantage. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to the fight, actually. And
that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a real good one.
Yeah. But another quick question I got for you. Vladimir Klitschko, we were hoping, and man, did I fall for it, because I really thought that he would fight Anthony Joshua, and man, would have that been a great fight. And then all of a sudden, the WBA, who promised us that they were going to, unify their own titles, which is kind of an oxymoron. We want to see unifications, but here they are trying to unify their own titles. They got so many. And they seemingly opted not to let Anthony Joshua fight for their vacant belt, one of their vacant belts, because he was already a champion, and decided to let Vladimir fight Lucas Brown. So Vladimir disappointed me personally by choosing the Lucas Brown, which is an easier fight, over Anthony Joshua, which he clearly could have made more money. But then it was just announced the other day that he injured himself, and now he's out, until sometime next year. Do you think he even should fight again, Larry? I mean, Vladimir Klitschko he's got, he's like B-Hop in a sense. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He friggin' controlled the heavyweight division for almost a decade. He's 40 years old. He too has a beautiful wife and a family. I mean, he's got nothing left to prove. I mean, should he continue on? I mean, obviously his body he suffered a couple of injuries lately. I mean, what's he doing?
Well, that's a question that only he can answer. And like most of these athletes, their minds tell them that they can do something that their bodies just can't answer the call anymore. Now, the way that he lost to Tyson Fury, okay, he should go back and look at that fight over and over again while he's pondering whether he should, do it again. I, like you, was looking forward to Klitschko and Joshua. That certainly would have been a great way for him to go out, a great fight for him to go out. I really always thought that if he fought Fury again, he would get his title back.
Yeah.
Okay, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen, So, I think it's the end of the road. And I can see the handwriting on the wall kind of when Manny Stewart died. They just seem to have had the perfect chemistry. And a lot of times when that happens, Billy, fighters aren't the same anymore. And that seems to be the case with Klitschko. Nobody seems to be able to get him to do some of the things that Manuel Stewart was able to get him to do to keep him, with the grips on that title. And so now I see the downward skid. It started with Tyson Fury. Now comes the injuries. And who knows what the next excuse will be. So who knows? He may not, he just may not fight again through some excuse, some injury that, it's going to keep him out of the ring, But I'm like you. Maybe he should really start to think about, hanging him up and go out on top. He may not have the title, but he still has a great level of respectability for the period of time that he held the title. And, of course, he fought all of the comers, and he was the king of the heavyweight division for a long time and definitely a future Hall of Famer. So I think it would be a nice way for him to end. Just hang him up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. One last question we got to run. Clarissa Shields making her pro debut on the undercard of Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward. Obviously, she's well accomplished in the amateur ranks, a two-time gold medal winner for the United States. You think she can help female boxing? I mean, she's fighting in a division that's not chock full of fighters, but female boxing never really. It never really hit popular. The word popular. It did have some peaks and valleys and stuff. I don't know. As time goes on, I seem to be losing. Even though I was involved with a champion, I seem to be losing interest in female boxing, and I think the masses are too. You think Clarissa Shields can help them, or you think it's just never going to reach? It's sort of like the WNBA. I mean, a great talent, a lot of athletes playing in the Women's National Boxing League, but the popularity just isn't there. Do you think Clarissa can help female boxing, or what?
Well, I'm not a male chauvinist, so don't get me wrong, but I've never been a big fan of female boxing. And one of the reasons, to answer your question more directly, no, I don't. Not really. I mean, Christy Martin, she gave female boxing a good run because they got a lot of exposure through Don King when he was really at the top of the game promoting, and he really put Christy Martin out there on some big events. That's really not the case anymore, and the reason is because I think that female fighters are just not as exciting as the male counterparts, and boxing fans want excitement, and they like knockouts. Female boxers, for some reason, lack the punching power to really give you those exciting types, those dramatic endings to fight. So, and I think culturally, somewhere in there's some type of cultural bias against women fighting. And that's just my personal opinion, okay? But I've never been a great fan of it, although they certainly have a right to it, like anything else, But I don't think Clarissa is going to do too much, maybe for a short span, because she won the Olympics. She's a very nice young lady. She's got some personality. So, American fans, boxing fans, we like that. But it'll run its course, and then female boxing, in my opinion, will just go right back to the doldrums like it's been.
I agree with you, my man. Hey, listen, Larry, I appreciate it, and we look forward to you next week, brother.
Okay, Billy.
All right, take care. That's Larry Hazard, Boxing Hall of Famer, New Jersey Boxing Commissioner. You can check him out every week right here on the Billy C. Show. We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed people's champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Morning Show. Special shout out to all of our listeners on ESPN New Hampshire. Glad to be with you this morning. And don't forget, check out this show on Fight TV. You can download the free app for your handheld device. Just visit BillyCBoxing.com and click on the Fight TV banner, which is on the right-hand side of the page. And start enjoying it. The show, that is, and all the other programming on Fight TV with your handheld. Hey, listen, one of our weekly favorite segments is up right now.
Blast from the past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top-ranking Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past, which is being sponsored by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And the Title Bout Championship computer game. Check out what that's all about. Get yourself a copy right now. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner, which is on the left-hand side. Features one of my favorite fighters. I mean, I know him personally. I've gotten to see him live many, many times. There's a new movie on him coming out. The Pasmanian Devil himself, Vinny Pazienza. And joining me right now to tell us all about the Paz is my man, Alex Perpali. What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. I was wondering what you were going to think about doing a blast on Vinny Paz, but it's time, and it's kind of, as I'm reviewing Vinny Paz's career, I'm kind of looking at his record, and I'm saying to myself, I wonder why he's not in, up in Canastota. I mean, he's fought everybody, really, I mean, in a lot of different weight classes. It's clearly going to be a discussion, but, I mean, what do you think off the top of your head?
I think he might be on the ballot this year, actually.
Well, he should be. He's been out for more than 10 years. I mean, his last fight was in 2004. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Look at his performance versus other Hall of Famers. The only ones on his record are Hector Camacho, Roberto Duran, and then Roy Jones will be a Hall of Famer as well. And he's 0-1 against Roy, 0-1 against Camacho, and 2-0 against Duran. So we've seen some guys get in with better credentials than that, and some with less.
Well, he's got some wins over some really good fighters. I mean, Harry Arroyo, Greg Haugen, he fought a few times. Some big names. Lloyd Hunnigan. I mean, stopped him. Robbie Sims was a good fighter. I mean, it's not like he didn't fight anybody. I mean, he came up on the losing end against some other big names too. But we'll get to that in a minute. But tell us about Vinny Paz.
Vinny Pazienza was born Vincenzo Pazienza in Cranston, Rhode Island, December 16th, 1962. He is 5'7.5" tall. And he claims that he's one of the few people who's actually honest about his height. He fought as a lightweight, a junior welterweight, junior middleweight, and super middleweight, and won titles as a lightweight, junior middleweight, and super middleweight. He grew up in a house on Waterman Avenue in East Providence, Rhode Island, with his parents, his mom, Louise, and his father, Angelo. His father, Angelo, was instrumental in his life and his boxing career. He started boxing, I think at first, he first got into boxing, he was from a middle-class neighborhood and first got into boxing when he saw Muhammad Ali. And as a kid, he would box in his basement. He'd invite tougher kids over and kids from his grade, and then he'd school them in his basement. As a fourth grader, he invited the toughest sixth grader to his house to box, and he bloodied his nose, and then he couldn't believe what he did. He ran out of his own gym and with the sixth grade bully chasing him. He drifted away from boxing from the age of 10 to 15 and got into other sports. But then at 15 years old, he saw the movie Rocky, and it just gave him a gut feeling, just this sensation, and he got back into the sport. And had a successful amateur career. As a matter of fact, I wasn't able to verify this, but I remember when I first got into boxing in the 80s, I remember hearing a rumor that he actually, like Willie Pep, who had won a round without throwing a punch, that supposedly Pazienza had been able to do that. He was so elusive when he was a lightweight in the amateurs that supposedly he won a round at one point without landing a punch. But like I said, that could just be a rumor.
It seems so unlike Vinny Pazienza, doesn't it?
Well, when he was a lightweight, he was hard to hit. He was more elusive, but that sort of went away as he moved up. He became more of a banger, but he was a speedy, frenzied fighter. They referred to him as the Tasmanian Devil. That was part of his fighting style. He would just be all over you, always in punching range, real quick hands, and he fought larger. He supposedly, when he was fighting at lightweight, he was walking around at 160, and then would just make the weight by just cutting weight. And eventually that did catch up to him, where he nearly died from exhaustion and almost like a fatal dehydration after the loss to Roger Mayweather.
Well, I used to love watching him as a lightweight. I loved watching him all of his fights, but as a lightweight, he seemed to me at times almost invincible. And when I look at his lineup of who he fought, I mean, honestly, you could say from his 18th fight on, I mean, all big names in the sport. I mean, Melvin Paul. He stopped in 2 rounds in 1985 in his 18th professional fight, and that was a big win. Melvin Paul was a player in the division, and like I mentioned, he got wins over Harry Arroyo, Greg Haugen. He would lose to Haugen. He lost to Roger Mayweather and Camacho, like you mentioned, but a couple of wins against Haugen. Gilbert Dealey, he won the junior middleweight title. Lloyd Hunnigan, Robbie Sims, Duran a few times. He did fight and lose to Roy Jones Jr. I mean, he fought everybody, man. And, he was exciting while he was doing it. I remember seeing him. I mean, I got to see him a lot at Foxwoods. He was a big name there a lot of times. I saw so many of his fights at the Foxwoods Casino. And what I always remember about Vinny Pazienza was, him being not looking so good, bleeding and busted up and just begging not to stop the fight. I mean, this is a guy that is so... I mean, with my argument today and how critical I am with the safety-first attitude, Vinny Pazienza is the anti-safety-first guy that comes to mind when you think of that. And he's still a fun guy. He's been on the show a bunch of times. And, I mean... Talk about a warrior. How could you not think of Vinny Pazienza when you think of the word warrior?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing just the amount of punishment he was willing to take. He was cut very often. It was easy to cut him. In fact, his first loss was, I believe, a stoppage on cuts, because he was never knocked out. But his stoppages were for cuts or disqualifications. His first loss was to Marby in Italy, which was in December of '94. I'm not sure how to pronounce the guy's first name, but I wasn't able to bring up any details about that fight. But it is a TKO loss, so I'm willing to bet that was on cuts, because he's never been knocked out.
No, he's like Jake LaMotta.
Yeah, and it's very possible that even the head-on collision didn't knock him out.
Well, that's a whole other story you can get into here in a sec. But I compare him a lot to Jake LaMotta. The style of his fighting, the toughness, the never quit, and kind of some of the stuff outside the ring as well. I mean, I remember having him on the show. I remember talking to him, and I'm like... Hey, Vinny, we were doing the morning show before we came back to doing the morning show. We were doing it before. And I'm like, hey, Vinny, you want to come on? And he's like, yeah, what time? And I said, well, we air 6 to 10. He goes, 6 o'clock? I'm just getting up at 6. I said, well, can't you get up a little earlier? And he's thinking I meant 6 p.m., so he ended up staying up. Because they call him the vampire. He likes to, now that his boxing career is over, he likes to go out and, he gets home at 5, 6 in the morning and then sleeps during the day. So he ended up actually staying awake from coming back home and came on our show. And I loved it. It was great. It was he was just talking about the video that he put out that led to the movie that's coming out. I think it's out in theaters now, right?
I think it comes out November 18th.
Okay, all right.
So it's not out yet. But yeah, it looks good, looks exciting. I mean, his story is a fascinating story, and I mean, I think that the comeback that he made is so miraculous that I think that might help get him into the Hall of Fame. Despite his boxing career, that was an amazing thing. But we'll get to that in a minute. Yes, like you said, that Melvin Paul knockout was impressive. It was just plain made for TV. He was cut early in the first round, and then you could see the urgency in him that he went after Paul in the second, and he knocked him out with a bolo punch. He sort of cocks his right hand around in a circle, and boom, right on the chin, and that was it. It was a one-punch knockout. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better highlight reel film. It's still impressive today to watch it on YouTube. And he became definitely an exciting TV fighter. And that first win over Greg Haugen, I mean, Providence went nuts. They fought June 7th, 1987, and it was in the Civic Center in Providence, Rhode Island. And it was a very close fight. Back then it was a 15-rounder. We don't have those anymore, so that's another thing that, to his credit, Pazienza has, competed in 15-rounders. Nowadays, you don't get that anymore with fighters. I think that might be the only time he went 15 rounds, however. But yeah, it became an issue about making weight, so he jumped all the way up, basically skipped welterweight and went all the way up to 154, which was, a big jump to make that kind of a move. And he had just defeated Gilbert DeLay, and in November of 1991, driving on US 1 in Warwick, Rhode Island, with a friend, Kurt Reeder, in his Camaro. They got into a head-on collision in some wet weather. They skidded, a horrible car accident, and in it, they had to pry Pazienza out of the car. He broke the C4, C5, and the C3 vertebrae. One was dislocated, two were cracked, and he was partially paralyzed when he woke up in the hospital. Actually, that's just it. I don't think that he claims he was never even actually out. He had another broken nose. The guy broke his nose nearly 100 times through his whole career, and why the hell not? In the accident, you get a head-on collision, you might as well break your nose. So he did break his nose as well as his spine. They said it was possible he'd never walk again. He said, "Doc, I'm going to fight again," and he did. It was a pretty amazing thing.
The amazing thing about it is, and I remember seeing him with the, what do they call it when the head is all with the screws in it, with that.
It's a halo.
Yeah, the halo. I remember seeing him with that on, and when you think about that accident, he wasn't. Now that was after the Gilbert Dealey fight, right?
Yep.
Okay. His next fight was a year, almost a year.
14 months later.
Yeah.
14
against
months.
Luis Santana. So that was after he had already healed. So not only did he walk again, but he came back and fought sooner than a lot of fighters fight now when they're 100% healthy. That's remarkable in itself. And another thing I just want to point out, and people can go. We have the. I believe we have the interview, the last interview I did with him several years ago, up on our website under the hot interviews section. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see we left a lot of the older interviews. The late Billy Costello is up there, and some other interviews. And Vinny Paz is one of them as well. And he was telling the story. Sugar Ray Leonard we have up there. We have some good ones, man, so check it out. But he was telling his story, what prompted him to even come out with first his own little DVD of his life, and then ultimately sell it as a movie, was that when his parents passed away, he was going through some tapes and stuff, and apparently his mom recorded every one of Vinny Paz's fights, and a lot of the times Vinny Pazienza didn't even know that she had the recordings of him, whether they were on TV or whether someone recorded it in the audience. And he found the box full of them up in his attic. And that's prompted him to do the, the first little movie that he did himself. And because he had all that footage. To me, that's pretty remarkable that he didn't even realize that they existed.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. It's too bad some of them, I wish the Luis Santana fight was on YouTube. I couldn't find it. That'd be nice if you could get some of those up on YouTube.
I have the DVD. I have his DVD somewhere with all of the fights, so maybe we can give you a copy of that. So, but
he definitely. I mean, it was in terms of pain, like you said. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of pain he was able to take. He claims he's never used drugs, never smoked marijuana, never took cocaine. People think he has is a cocaine user because of the 100 broken noses. He blows his nose a lot, so people will see him out at clubs and stuff blowing his nose, and they think, "Oh, there's that cokehead Vinny Pazienza." But he's never touched it.
I've heard I heard he's never touched a drink of alcohol either.
No, he does. He got interested in got into alcohol after the Haugen win, and he evidently Bill his drink of choice is Asti Spumante, that sparkling wine.
That was big in 1972, but I don't know if anybody still drinks that aside from Vinny, but.
Yeah, he's in an interview with the Providence Journal in 2013. He mentions Asti Spumante, so I don't know if he's still a fan or what.
Hey,
but,
let me ask you this: there was a big thing with him, rivalry with Dana Rosenblatt. I mean, they had a really good fight where he won by knockout. Then they had a rematch, which was a controversial split decision loss. And they were for years talked about trying to have a third meeting. Dana went on to do some ringside commentating and stuff, but I don't think there's any love lost between the two. And why didn't a third fight ever materialize? Do you know?
I don't know why they never fought a third time, but he in that Providence Journal interview on YouTube, he does mention that he still hates Dana Rosenblatt. So whatever it is, they maybe that was it, the bad blood. They just couldn't put the fight together. But that was one of his most vicious knockouts. It's a 4-round victory over Dana Rosenblatt in August of 1996 for the WBU super middleweight title, one of his 5 world titles. And I mean, you see the vicious Vinny Paz in that fight.
Yeah, and then they had that controversial split decision in his hometown, so to speak, in Foxwoods. I was ringside for that in 1999. I thought the fight was close. I thought that Vinny might have won that fight, in my opinion, because he landed the harder shots, but Dana stayed away from him in that one, and it was a controversial. Just made the hatred even more for Vinny Pazienza. But another fight I witnessed that he fought that he clearly wasn't the same was his fight against Eric Lucas at Foxwoods again. He just, in my opinion, was never in that fight. But he tried all the way to the end. And that's the one thing I always will love and admire about the Paz, man, because this guy never gave up. No matter what the odds were against him, no matter if he had no chance in hell. I mean, today, I know we've discussed the tap out being accepted in MMA and how for some reason in boxing they just don't accept a fighter to quit. Vinny Pazienza would never have quit. And I wish fighters today had even half of his mentality. This safety first, to me, although it's great for them, I think it's terrible for the sport. And fighters like Vinny Paz really are throwbacks. He's what the sport I thought was meant to be. Maybe that's just being brutal, a brutal way of thinking. But when we talk about these kinds of guys, Alex, this is when boxing. I mean, Vinny Pazienza wasn't even the hottest commodity, and when you talk about him now, and then you try to compare it to today's era of fights, I mean, just no comparison.
Yeah, he's a throwback in terms of just the glutton for punishment. That was one of the things I was getting to, was that he wouldn't even take anesthesia when they were removing that halo. That he describes that as the greatest pain he's ever felt. When they had to remove that halo, they use a ratchet to unscrew the screws that go right into your skull. Well, he thought that they were actually, that Dr. Cotter was actually screwing the bolts in deeper, but he wasn't. Paz refused anesthesia, and over the months of wearing the halo, the bone, grows around the screws. So it was extreme pain to remove them. But he describes that as sort of a family thing. I guess when he was a kid, his mother once went to the supermarket, and on her way home she fell down, and she gathered up all her groceries and got all the way home, put all her groceries away, and then she decided, well, let me call a hospital, and her knee was broken in 3 places. So, the Pazienza, there's a toughness in the Pazienza family. I should say also that he legally changed his name to Vinny Paz. I think that was in 2001. It was before his career was over. But yeah, Pazmanian Devil was his nickname, and Vinny Paz is what he goes by now.
Yeah, well, he certainly has had a collection of some gorgeous female partners that he's hung out with. That's for sure. There's not a shortage of beautiful women he likes to be accompanied by more often than not. So I give him a lot of kudos for that as well, man.
Yeah, a couple of them were Playboy Playmates, a couple were Penthouse Pets, and he does have a domestic violence charge from one. However, I was reading in an article with the Daily Mail, he claims that what had happened was actually the woman was she was coming off of painkiller addiction and was actually hurting herself. And the incident, she was banging her head against the wall, and he, the two of them were arguing, and they went out into the street. And when the cops were called and they saw her injury, they, assumed that Paz did it, but he claims he did not. I guess they're still friends, however.
His the fight that I was talking to, that I saw against Eric Lucas, where he wasn't in it, it seemed like he retired after that, but he came back one more time 2 years later and fought Tucker Pudwill and got a 10-round decision at the Foxwoods Casino, and then hung him up. I always thought that he had a hard time retiring, that he really didn't want to. Other people say that he did. He was ready to retire. I got a different feel on the times I've spoken with Vinny. What do you think?
Well, one of the reasons why he may have come back was, one, he wanted his 50th win. Also, financially, he lost a lot of money when the several banks in Rhode Island went under, and the money was frozen. All the customers who had money in those banks were frozen, and they lost it. And Paz was one of them. So he had to, in order to get back on his feet, he had to continue fighting. But yeah, I think that Tucker Pudwill fight, that was more just to get that 50th win. He has 50 wins in his career, which was a milestone he wanted to achieve.
Yeah, well, those banks weren't FDIC backed or what?
Yeah, I guess not. It was some sort of trading scandal or something.
Huh, that's crazy. I thought those were all insured now. I didn't think you could. I mean, maybe a bank could freeze it, but that was in the 2000s. I mean, you would have thought that I better take my $47 out of my bank account. I don't want to lose that, man. I can't lose my $47, man.
Yeah, really.
Well, Vinny Paz, what's he doing now?
Now he is, evidently he loved the movie. He sat there and cried like a baby through the first time he saw it. The premiere in Providence is coming up. I think it's on November 10th, and I'm sure he'll be there to watch that. He's planning a move to Vegas, And he's also planning to launch his own wine. I wonder if it'll be a sparkling wine or what the story will be. But he's a big gambler, and I guess he does pretty well. So hence the trip to Vegas, I guess.
He didn't do too well at Foxwoods a couple of times. I know that. But really, he's moving to Vegas. I would have never thought that he would leave Rhode Island, man.
Yeah, that's what the Daily Mail article says, that he's planning a move to Vegas in the next few weeks.
So he must have made out pretty. By the way, for all the affiliates, we are not taking a break here. Sorry about that, but it seems to be the norm when my man Alex is on. We don't take no stinking breaks when Alex is on. But is that true? I mean, did he ever get the money back? I mean, or did he make out really well with the movie? I mean, where's the sudden infusion of financial freedom?
I don't know. Supposedly he got $100,000 out of the movie, but he has a piece of its success. So I guess the better it does, the more he makes. So he must be doing all right. But I don't know. I mean, sure, in terms of the trailers for movies that we've seen recently, it certainly looks like an exciting one. Because it's not just about boxing.
Exactly. I was just gonna say it's gonna do well because it's not just about boxing. They focus on the accident and the recovery and everything. And you know what, $100,000. If that helped him and he wants to go out, all he's got to do is ask Kevin Rooney. Kevin Rooney blew somewhere around $5 million in the casinos, and also what's his name? The guy who still wants to make a comeback, the heavyweight, Antonio Tarver, he's lost several $100,000 in the casinos as well. So if I'm Vinny, you better be a little careful, Paz. So I hope nothing negative happens there. But yeah, I think that movie's going to do well. I think you're 100% right that because it's more than just boxing, it's going to it's going to appeal to multiple people.
Yeah, I think so. 5 Times Better is the name of the wine that he's going to be launching. That's the label, 5 Times Better. And it's, I guess, a nod to the titles that he picked up in his boxing career. He does claim to do well in the gambling field. So, I'm sure, hope springs eternal when it comes to that. And he does mention how he's nocturnal. He doesn't get up till about 5 in the afternoon.
Right, that's what I was telling you. No, I know. But then again, he doesn't go to bed till 4 or 5 in the morning.
He doesn't go to bed, till sometimes noon the next day.
Exactly. So yeah, that's a good gambling life. That's for sure. That's a gambler's life. But all in all, I do believe that Vinny Pazienza is a Hall of Famer. He had some of the fighters that he fought were warriors like him, like Greg Haugen. Hector Camacho is in the Hall of Fame. So Roy Jones will be in the Hall of Fame. Like you said, Roberto Duran in the Hall of Fame. So I don't know. I think he should get in, to be honest with you. I think he's one of those guys that, I know, you talk about Arturo Gotti. Arturo Gotti's in. I know you didn't think he should get in, but he made an impact on the sport, and I think Vinny Pazienza certainly did as well. I think he deserves to get in, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gotti is the example that gives Paz. If Gotti's in, you kind of think, well, why not Paz? Paz's boxing record is better, and what he did in terms of return, letting himself just walk again, let alone fight again.
Plus, he had 60 total fights.
Yeah. So I could see him getting in one of these days.
Yeah. No. Any other points you want to make about the Paz main?
No. Just his performance in the title bout championship boxing game. I put him in against lightweights, the lightweight champ, the junior middleweight champ, and the super middleweight champ. First against Rancis Barthelemy at lightweight. The first time they fought, Paz wins a unanimous decision, two scores of 115-113 and one score of 116-112, all in favor of Vinny Paz. When they fight 100 times, Paz dominates. 86 victories, 12 defeats, 2 draws, 36 stoppages. In his 11 wins, Barthelemy scored 11 KOs. When I had him fight our number one guy at 154, Arislandi Lara, Paz won Lara took a split decision in their first encounter. One judge had it 116-113 for Paz, overruled by scores of 114-113 and 115-112 in favor of Arislandi Lara. When they fight 100 times, Paz scores 46 victories, 49 defeats, 5 draws, 23 big knockouts, and Lara scored 23 KOs in his 49 wins. So Lara gets the better of him, just edged him out. And then at fighting at 168 pounds, super middleweight, we had him fight Gilberto Ramirez Sanchez, the number one guy in the division now. And the first time they fought, he lost by TKO on cuts at 2 minutes and 34 seconds of round number 9. And when they fight 100 times, he wins only 10, loses 88, has 2 draws, and scores 7 knockouts. Ramirez was able to score 57 KOs in his 88 wins. So Ramirez just a little too big for Vinny Paz.
That's had to be it, because he's kind of not 100% proven yet either. But yeah, it had to be size difference. Ramirez is 6 foot, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
he's a big guy, big man.
Vinny Pazienza, one of my favorite fighters, and Alex got to see him a lot himself, and Rhode Island guy, man, New England guy, we'll say, Foxwoods guy, fought in Foxwoods a gazillion times, former world lightweight, junior welterweight, and super middleweight world champion. He had a career record of 50 wins, 30 coming by knockout. He did have 10 losses on his record, in which he was stopped 3 times, but like Alex mentioned earlier, based on his skin failing him, never knocked out. He had a KO percentage of 50%, and Vinny Pazienza, our blast from the past today. And I hope he gets into the Hall of Fame. If he is on the ballot this year, maybe he gets in. And I think Alex is right. In lieu of the success of the movie, we'll probably expedite that. So Vinny Pazienza, our blast from the past today. Don't forget, check out the last interview that we did with Vinny. It's up under the hot interview section on BillyCBoxing.com. And if you've never visited that section, I've kept some pretty cool interviews that we've done over the years up there. So check it out and let me know. One of these days I'm going to be putting together a collection of all the interviews we've done over the last 13 years, which includes a lot of great fighters that are champions today when they first started out. I'm putting all of that together, and we'll get that out. But great job as usual, Alex, on Vinny Paz. And I'll tell you what, he's our blast from the past this week, and I love the guy. I love Vinny Paz. But a couple questions I wanted to ask you. Clarissa Shields, is she going to make an impact for women's boxing?
Oh, I think definitely. Yeah, unlike your previous 2 callers, I think that if she was a male fighter, I think we'd all be talking about her. I think that what she's done already has been extremely impressive to win 2 gold medals in successive Olympics. She's a tremendous fighter, and I hope. I mean, that it's great that she's getting, a big platform to be launched on. The Kovalev Ward undercard should get a lot of eyes on there. Hopefully, if they don't show her fight, then they'll at least show a clip of it. But yeah, I think that she's an inspiration to a lot of young girls, and she is very exciting to watch. So I think that it can only be good news for women's boxing.
Yeah, I hope you're right. As far as Clarissa Shields, I think she is going to be a shot in the arm, but I just think, unfortunately, women's boxing just, it's not going to ever reach the popularity of boxing, which isn't too popular to begin with, So I don't know. I mean, I thought Larry said it pretty accurately about Christy Martin. Christy Martin's style, not that she was. I mean, Layla Ali was a much better fighter, but Christy Martin's style was entertaining, and people had a tendency to want to watch her. Clarissa Shields is a technical fighter. The one thing I experienced with Clarissa was when we did a broadcast of the Women's Boxing Hall of Fame the first year they did it, and Clarissa Shields was a guest, and she brought that gold medal with her, the first one. And to see all these great female fighters, just wanting to get a picture with Clarissa. Clarissa was the center of attention because of the gold medal. Really was humbling for not only the fighters but for myself, because you saw the respect factor of what she accomplished, and I think that's going to carry carry some weight in the sport. So hopefully she'll win and win excitingly and help female boxing. But your thoughts on Vladimir Klitschko and the circus that surrounded him over the last few weeks? Now all of a sudden he's out with an injury. Should he hang him up or what?
Well, I think that he doesn't want to go out the way he has, the way things are now. I'm sure he wants at least to try to erase the loss to Tyson Fury. It's an unfortunate thing. I mean, at his age, I think every training camp puts a lot of wear and tear on the body, and obviously that must have been what happened. That just was too much, and he got an injury. It's really unfortunate because that would have been a really good fight to see him versus Anthony Joshua. But hopefully the fight will still get made, just maybe a little later than sooner. And no, I don't think he's going to go away. He's not going to retire on this. I mean, unless his health won't permit him. But I see him definitely fighting again. If not a rematch against Tyson Fury, which I don't really want to see, then definitely at least trying to get his titles back, because he's a competitive guy, and I'm sure he doesn't like the way things ended.
Probably not. But all he's got to do is, look over at his wife and his kid and say, you know what, maybe I don't need this fighting thing anymore. But anyway, or maybe they're not even married. Are they married?
I don't know if they're married.
I think they might not be. But Alex, great job as usual, my man, and we'll look forward to next week.
All right, Billy C. Take care.
All right, brother. That's Alex Papali. You can catch him here each week doing the Blast from the Past. So we'll be glad to take your suggestions if you have someone you want us to do. Shannon Briggs in the news, basically calling David Haye a chump. He's scared, and I agree. David Haye is a fraud. Briggs said, Haye's scared to fight me. He said, I just got word he'd rather quit boxing than fight me. He says, I understand, David. It's not safe for you to fight me. I'm holding a lot of pain and anger from things that have happened in my life. I'm seeking to put that pain onto someone else, particularly you, for lying and deceiving me in public. I would rip your face into shredded meat as soon as the bell rung, immediately, if not sooner. So I understand. Get a job putting stripes on candy or sewing undies. Boxing ain't for you, little buddy. No hard feelings again. I understand, little chump. David Haye is a chump. And, to be honest with you, not that I'm a big fan of Shannon Briggs at this stage of his career. I certainly would love to see Shannon Briggs beat the snot out of David Haye. Can't stand David Haye. David Haye, you're a chump. You're a fraud. 2 more emails I want to read. This one's from my man Brett. And Brett says, hey, Billy C., I think Kovalev-Ward will live up to its expectation. It's a classic matchup of a boxer versus a puncher. With Ward's knees being the way they are, might not be able to use the movement that he wants to keep Kovalev at bay by boxing him as the rounds go on. That's what I had said the other day. So Brett is agreeing there. He says, that being said, Kovalev has never faced anyone as technically as sound as Ward, so the matchup is intriguing. It was canceled once or twice, but it wasn't delayed 5 years like Pacquiao-Mayweather, so I don't think that fight has lost any sizzle among its fans. I agree with you there, Brett, and I think it is going to live up to expectations. I do. One last email before we call it a day. This one's from my man Joel, and Joel says, hey, Billy C., as you addressed it the other day, I was able to find a stream for the Lemieux-Rios fight this past Saturday, and much like you, I agreed that Lemieux got hit a lot. He was loading up with big shots on Rios in the corner, and Rios, being so tough with a solid chin, would counter and throw Lemieux off balance several times in the first half of the fight. While I'm sure Lemieux's team was happy he got the rounds in, if he faces a step up in competition next, he would need work on protecting himself from getting hit like Rios did with his left on Saturday. Rios had never been stopped, and Lemieux needed to focus on boxing more when he knows he's going to be in there with a guy who may not be world level, but impossible to stop. I just read, well, I agree with you there, but remember, nobody's impossible to stop. But anyway, he says, I just read on the WBO ordered 2 eliminators, which I hope can be made. He says in the light heavyweight division, they've ordered Shawnee Monahan versus Dominic Bassell, which will give the winner the opportunity to face the Ward Kovalev winner. And at super middleweight, they ordered Arthur Abraham to fight Robin Krasnicki, which I think is a winnable fight for Abraham to the point where he can get back a title at super middleweight. What's your thoughts on these, please? My thoughts are, it's terrible that sanctioning bodies order these fights. Nothing against Shawnee Monahan or Dominic Bassell, but neither one of them stand a chance against the winner of Ward and Kovalev. You know, it'd be nice to see Kovalev Ward winner fight Chicken Stevenson or somebody like that. As far as the super middleweight title, you know, Arthur Abraham, one of my favorite fighters. I really enjoyed watching him. He's seen better days, you know. So thanks for the emails, everyone. And remember, if you take the time to email us, we'll take the time to read it on air. All you got to do is send it to Billy at TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Don't forget to download the free Fight TV app. You can get to it by visiting our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and clicking on the banner for Fight TV, which is on the right-hand side. Showtime announced 5 boxing broadcasts. We mentioned it early in the show. December 10th, we got Jesus Cuellar taking on Abner Mares and Jamal Charlo against Julian J. Rock Williams. That's taking place December 10th. In January, Badou Jack takes on James DeGally. I like that fight. January 28th, Carl Frampton, Leo Santa Cruz in a rematch. Love it. I also love Dizan Salakishan against Mikey Garcia. Love that fight. It's for a world title. Adrian Broner against Adrian Granados in February. And then March, potentially Danny Garcia against Keith Thurman. If Danny Garcia can get by his layup fight. Keith Thurman, self-proclaimed a pound-for-pound top fighter, which I totally disagree with. But, hey, man, listen, we're going to pack it in. I want to thank all of you guys for hanging with us. Special shout-out to ESPN New Hampshire radio listeners and, of course, Fight TV. Don't forget about my book. Buy my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now. Check out BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Or if you want to hang out and talk boxing, I will be at the Queensberry Hotel in Glens Falls, New York from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. as part of a big book fair. I will have my book at a discount price, and I'll be there to hang out. So come on by the Queensberry Hotel this November 6th in Glens Falls, New York. Be love to chat with you about boxing and all that stuff. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.